and I am back again for another NYC tour and neighborhood guide. Today we are going to be going deep into the history of Little Italy. I'm going to be showing you some cool places that you need to check out while you're here. And guess what? I'm going to have a really cool guy that knows a lot about the mafia history in this area with me today. It's Radio Marcus. What are you going to share with us today?
Well, we're going to talk all about the immigrant history of New York in relation to Southern Italians, who were a huge wave of immigration starting mostly in the 1880s. It's a big part of New York history. We will talk about some of the darker sides of New York's Italian-American community because everybody loves a gangster movie or a gangster story.
It's true. All right, let's go do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Da Gennaro, an excellent, enjoyable family Italian restaurant here in Little Italy. It used to be called Umberto's Clam House. Now there's many stories about a place like this, but I'm gonna tell you a quick one about a guy named Crazy Joe Gallo. He was such a crazy gangster that his nickname was Crazy Joe. Pretty creative, right? So Crazy Joe went to war with his own boss. That's not a really good idea in the gangster world. And on his 44th birthday, came to what was then Umberto's Clam House. It didn't end well for him that night. He was murdered. He got shot to pieces. He made his way all the way out the door and collapsed on the street. One of the many legendary stories you can hear about in this great book, Five Families, which gives a lot of this history. And if this is something you're interested in, it's a very long and detailed and well-told approach to that world. I actually have a kind of funny story, somewhat related to Mr. Gallo. It's not only related to the underworld, somewhat, but it's related to what we do, tourism.
Really?
I was doing a gangster tour in this very neighborhood.
Okay.
And I was with a bunch of rowdy, amazing, hilarious, kind Scottish tourists to New York.
That's amazing. My favorite accent, by the way.
I didn't even know that, but I'm not surprised. It's one of my favorite. We were standing right here, and I was telling them all about Crazy Joe Gallo. And I had a photograph of him. A very large man approached me from over here and snatched the photograph out of my hand and said, "What are you doing with this? Where did you get it?"
Really?
True. I said, "I got it from the internet, I'm sorry."
Google.
I'm not a very tough guy,
Yeah.
but I used to be a little crazy Marcus Gallo in that point of my life. I walked over to this large man and said to him, "Sorry about that. What do you want?"
Yeah,
And he
why'd you
said-
take the picture out of my
And
hand?
he said, "Well, Mr. Gallo's niece owns this lovely restaurant." So I said, "I apologize, I didn't mean any disrespect, I'm sorry. Tell her she's got a great restaurant." Fantastic. I went back to my amazing Scottish friends and they all went, "Wow, what a great setup, that was hilarious. Thank you so much for doing that, that was so funny." I didn't set that up. Why do you think I'm shaking right now?
Oh my God, that's insane. So in a way, members of the families of the mafia still are around this area.
You know the story Godfather starts with a quote.
Yeah, and actually a lot
says-
of The Godfather was filmed in this area.
Very true.
Yeah.
This is where Vito Corleone ran along the rooftops, but
Yes.
the first quote in the book, if I recall, is, "Behind every great fortune, there is a great crime."
Accurate, very accurate. So not only does this spot have a colorful history with Crazy Joe Gallo, they also are one of the few really great Italian spots that I would recommend here. It's called Da Gennaro's, and when you come here, most of the dishes are phenomenal, so you really can't go wrong. But one thing I do recommend ordering is their grilled octopus. They cook it perfectly here. Plus, they have a really cool atmosphere. Look at this. They liked it. So check this spot out when you're visiting if you want some real authentic Italian food, and make sure you look for the bullet hole from Crazy Joe Gallo's assassination in the inside. It's like 2 for the price of 1. You get history and you get a little delicious Italian meal. Doesn't get better than that.
Which brings me to the origin of a word that we all know, mafia. There's a few hypotheses about where that word comes from. I might butcher this, but morto alla Francia, Italia andiela, M-A-F-I-A. But the translation is, death to France is Italy's honor or desire. And in those days, France was the occupier of southern Italy. Now, the truth is, it probably comes from an Arabic word, mafioso, which translates more or less to guy you don't want to mess around with because he don't take nothing from nobody. You could see why people in this subculture would want to use a word like that to describe their secret society. And the reason it comes from Arabic is because one of the invaders of Sicily were the Moors.
I'm going to interrupt Marcus's little history tour for a moment to bring you to one of my favorite cheese shops here in Little Italy. It is called Alleva's and it's been here since 1892. This is 5 family generations of Italians. It was brought here by the great-great-great-grandparents, and they've been making excellent cheese ever since. And they're known for ricotta and mozzarella. So let's go inside and check it out. They've been here so long, for over 100 years, that they even have their name in the wall. Look at that, beautiful. We have some cheeses hanging from the ceiling, but I recommend going over here and ordering 2 things. Their mozzarella sticks and their prosciutto ricotta balls. And you gotta put some of the sauce on there. Thank you so much, you guys. This is one of their specialties, smoked mozzarella. Ooh, let's try what I ordered. All right, Marcus, so I got us some snacks.
Fantastic, I'm starving. I've seen these before, but I bet you these taste better than they usually do.
Mozzarella.
Let's start with the mozzarella.
Okay.
No wonder they've been open since 1892.
I know, they've been open for over 100 years. You're killing it.
You're not pulling a George Costanza? You dip how you dip, I'll dip how I dip. Double dip. You said there's rice in this?
Okay, yeah, so this is the ricotta ball, so grab a ricotta ball. Oh, oh my God, look at that.
Oh,
This
man.
is nuts.
Mm.
This is good.
Fantastic.
So bad for you, but so good for your soul. We just got a very special gift from the family. They gave us some of their cannolis. These are made with ricotta and panzata cheese.
The reason I'm smiling the way I am
I said that so poorly.
is because it benefits to spend time with Sarah, because we just got the most delicious thing and I'm so excited. So should I take this top one too?
The size of your head, you liar.
All right, we'll start with the small one.
Filled with cheese. A proper cannoli is filled right before it's served to you.
This is sweet cheese.
Yes,
We love all cheese, but this is a dessert cheese.
that's true.
Small little chocolate chips stuffed inside the cheese.
It's crazy that it's cheese because I would never think that this is cheese. I always thought cannoli was just a cream.
Well, that's actually a good way of describing it, especially for people who don't like the idea of having cheese for dessert. Kind of like a cookie rolled up, stuffed with sweet cream.
Yeah.
A man who's mostly known for his time in Chicago and Alcatraz, Mr. Al Capone, was from Brooklyn, New York. And while he was gaining power, of course, Chicago's in the Midwest, there's a lot of influence from the dairy business in the Midwest. And he muscled his way into the dairy business by controlling unions and other people associated with the dairy business. And he sold cheese to his hometown, New York, where people, of course, made something that involves cheese, pizza.
Oh, wow.
Now, why does that have anything to do with the underworld? Because, as you know, in some of the nicest pizza places in New York,
Yeah.
you can only get cheese pizzas by the pie.
Yes, like Lombardi's, you can only get pizza by the pie.
They allowed every local slice place to use the low quality cheese that they were sending from the Midwest. And you can sell all the slices you want with our cheese because it's ours.
Right.
But the places that they loved and respected,
Yeah.
like those that you mentioned, they didn't have to use the crappy Capone cheese, but they weren't allowed to make that massive profit that comes from slices.
Wow.
If you sold slices with non-Capone cheese, you were getting burned down.
Right. I didn't even know that. There's politics in pizza. Who would have known? Thanks, Marcus. I hope you're enjoying the travel guide so far. One thing you may have noticed while watching this is the music. I used Premium Beat by Shutterstock for all of the music for this guide. Their music is the best because it allows me to transport you, the viewer, to a different time and place. Learn more about how I create my videos and select the music at the end of this video and use promo code SUNSHINE17 to save 20% on all Premium Beat tracks. Now back to the video.
What is a crime family? It's essentially a structured group that controls certain territories and has agreements with other criminals. And by structured, I mean there's a boss, there's an underboss, there's a consigliere, there's the capos, who are sort of the street bosses, the soldiers, and the associates. And it works almost like a top-down pyramid structure, and all the money kicks up to the bosses. I mentioned the crime families of New York. I already mentioned the Genoveses and the Bonanos. There's 3 others. There's the Gambinos, the Luccheses, and the Colombos. They all formed together with a very powerful man many, many decades ago whose name was Lucky Luciano. He was the architect of the modern American mob and created something called the Commission, where different criminal organizations would meet together, and instead of treating it like they were assassins and street criminals, they wanted to be seen as legitimate businessmen. So Lucky Luciano is a fascinating, important person in this world, and he changed American organized crime and the world forever.
Interrupt the tour to give you the local tidbits on what's happening in Little Italy today. We're here at one of my favorite stores in Little Italy. It is called Mulberry and Grand. So one of the nice things about this shop is that everything is locally made, and it's definitely my style. If you're into that type of thing, I mean, look how cute this is. This is adorable. All the clothing in here, very feminine, very girly, but I love it. It's my favorite store here in Little Italy. You have awesome shops like this where they sell all this locally made stuff. A lot of it has New York on it, so it's just better than the typical New York touristy stuff you would find. New York design, you got pizza, taxis, coffee, all the New York things. It's kind of like New York humor, you know, like sarcasm. We're very sarcastic people here in New York. You get the idea, you guys. It's just a really great local shop. Fun earrings. Come on by to Mulberry and Grand. All right, let's continue the tour. So Marcus, you brought me to a rice pudding place that is very sassy, by the way. If you look up, it says dozens of delicious flavors and 3 shitty ones.
It says, kiss my fat-free ass, no skinny bitches.
Yeah.
We've continued to move north on Mulberry Street.
Yes.
Some might say we're in Soho.
Yes.
I say we're in Nolita. You know what Nolita stands for?
North of Little Italy, my friend.
That's what most people think, but it's actually no low-income tenants allowed.
Oh, that's also true. Very good joke there,
You
Marcus.
see, it's really expensive to open a business around here. Now, who the heck says, I'm gonna open a business and sell nothing but rice pudding?
Only rice pudding.
Now, we as New Yorkers know that rice pudding's delicious, but
Is
it's a risky business proposal.
For sure.
Well, guess what?
What?
The man who opened this happened to run an underground organized crime gambling ring outside the back for many years. That was originally how it's funded, but the rice pudding is so delicious, it's still thriving.
Amazing.
Also, he had his 9-year-old son sending information about point spreads and stuff the whole time. So it was a family affair.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm telling you, rice pudding, in my opinion, is fantastic. And just come here for the signs alone. You'll crack up.
All right, Marcus, so why did you bring me here to O'Neill's?
O'Neill's is not just a restaurant, it used to be a speakeasy.
Wow, my
See,
favorite.
in 1920, alcohol became illegal in the United States.
Yes.
One of the dumbest laws ever passed. If you want proof that New York cops didn't care so much about enforcing prohibition laws, that is the New York police station.
Yeah, it's
right
next
door.
to it.
Not only is it right next door to it, but there was a staircase that went downstairs to the police station to open a secret door into a cellar that went up into O'Neill's.
Oh my God, there's a secret passageway under here?
A big New York cop would stand outside as a bouncer.
Wow.
The cops would be enjoying themselves. A federal agent would knock on the door and say, what's going on in here? The guy would say, nothing. Hey boys, they're back. And all the cops would take the staircase, run out, and go back to the police station, put their feet up, and that would be it.
Wow.
I brought you here for one other reason.
What is it?
It was featured in the most gangster show in the history of HBO. They are harsh. They are brutal. They are the 4 women of Sex and the City.
Oh
The most
my
gangster
God.
show in the history of HBO, and this was
Yeah.
the bar that Aiden and Steve owned.
Oh, really? Oh
Yes,
my
it
God.
was.
Look at that. Movie history, you got a little mafia history, you got a little prohibition. There's one more spot you want to show me. So you want to go ahead there now?
We got to see this spot. This is a place where some argue that the glory years ended. It used to be the Ravenite Social Club, a Gambino mob club where John the Teflon Don Gotti and Sammy the Bull Gravano, in some ways, brought the modern mob to its knees. He loved to talk. His underboss, Sammy the Bull, and him used to hang out in here, and they'd go up a few floors to where a widow lived and use her apartment as a place to hatch their schemes and plans. Law enforcement agencies were able to sneak microphones inside this building and record hundreds of hours of these gentlemen and their associates having conversations about illegal activity. But they also were able to get a lot of footage of John Gotti telling everybody how greedy his underboss, Sammy the Bull, was. Sammy the Bull became an underboss who testified against the Cosa Nostra. So Gotti and Gravano sort of brought down some of those glory years in the mob, and you can learn even more about it if you join me on a tour in New York.
So that's it, you guys. That's our Little Italy tour / modern day what's going on here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, give this video a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time, hopefully on a tour in New York. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us in Little Italy. As a New York City tour company owner and content creator, creating videos around true New York stories is a lot of fun. And as a viewer, it may seem like the video that is this length wouldn't take too much time, but would you be shocked to learn that it takes an average of 2 weeks to make one of my New York's YouTube videos? The process is more complex than just pointing the camera and then talking. For every video, you need a script, a location scout, select wardrobes, choose music, edit, and publish. And since this video talks about both Little Italy culture and the mob history, I needed music that would enhance the emotion as we were sharing stories and information. And to do that, I used Premium Beat by Shutterstock. All of their music is created by world-class musicians in exclusive studios. I couldn't use any basic music for this type of video because the storytelling needs something a little bit higher quality to bring the viewer into the moment, and that's why I chose to use Premium Beat. It is high-end and the music always feels fresh. They have a library of royalty-free stock music in multiple styles that gives you the polished feel of a big production house, and they make the process super simple. All you gotta do is just browse their site, and then you filter for like the style of music you're looking for. For this video, I used Italian music and music from the crime thriller spy category. And once I went through the options, I simply purchased the music that was perfect for these true stories, and boom! Now I have a license to that music forever, worldwide. It's pretty easy. So if you want to do the same, use my discount code SUNSHINE17 via the link in my video description right here to get 25% off your license purchases. And thank you so much, Premium Beat by Shutterstock, for sponsoring this video.